Lunar phases and eclipses. I'm going to start off with lunar phases. Now, as far as testing and the SOL goes, the only lunar phases I've ever seen really pop up have been the new moon and the full moon position. Although I will go over the other ones briefly, really quick. If you struggle with this, at least focus on the new moon and full moon position. The way I'll do it is I always start with we got a picture here at the top where we have the Earth in the middle, and here's our sun over the left-hand side, and then we're showing the moon as it goes around the Earth. It takes the moon about 1 month to go around, or about 30 days to go around the Earth one time. In fact, that's where we get the word month from, is from one moon or one lunar cycle. I always start with the position right here. This would be where the moon is in between the Earth and the sun. And this is our starting position that I always start at, and this would be called our new moon. So if you always start with the moon that's in between the sun and the Earth, so it's sandwiched in between, that's a good starting position. That's where you call it the new moon. As it goes around, the thing to remember is that everything in our solar system it loves counterclockwise. The moon goes around the Earth counterclockwise. The Earth rotates counterclockwise. The Earth revolves around the sun counterclockwise. Counterclockwise is huge in our solar system. And so this new moon position, what you're seeing here is you got to think in kind of 3D geometry. When I'm looking at the moon, here's the Earth right here. And when I'm looking at the moon here, I'm looking at this side of the moon that I'm highlighting right now. I'm just seeing this back side here. I don't see this side over here that's facing the sun and completely lit up. So all I see is this back side that's completely dark, and this is what it looks like to us here on Earth. The new moon is completely dark to us. We can't see the back side of it. As the moon goes around, one half of it is always lit up, but it's just whether that half is facing us. It's like the Earth. One half of the Earth is always daytime. It just depends on which half are you in, whether you're facing away from the sun or facing towards the sun determines whether it's daytime or nighttime. So as the moon goes around, you're looking at the light that hits the moon from different angles, and this is what causes what's known as the phases. As I look at it from this position right here as it goes counterclockwise around, this is what I see. And so I can't see the back side of the moon facing away from the Earth, but when I look at it, you see from the Earth, I see part of it is lit up over here, and that looks like if I was standing on the Earth looking up, it would be on the right-hand side, this little section here. And then a lot of the left-hand side would still be dark. And that's what I see down here. A little slither on the right-hand side is lit up. Most of it's dark, and that's known as the waxing crescent. And as I go around here to the first quarter, so I look at it from the Earth, this is what I see right here. Half of it would be lit up looking to me. I can't see the back side again. And so half of the moon would be lit up, and it would be the right-hand side that is lit up. And that's what I see right here, and this is my first quarter. Now, it's called a first quarter because it's 1/4 of the way, or 25% of the way around its orbit. And then I keep going. Right here with this one, this is my waxing gibbous. This is what I see from Earth, that side that I just marked. I can't see this back side here. And so what I'm seeing is the moon is mostly lit up, but there's a little slither of darkness on the left-hand side. And that's what I see right here, a little slither of darkness on the left-hand side, but most of the moon is lit up. That's known as your waxing gibbous. And it makes sense because it's with the waxing crescent, there's just a little C shape here. It's mostly dark because it just came out of the new moon phase where it was all dark. And then right here with the waxing gibbous, it's mostly lit up. There's just a little slither of darkness, but it's mostly lit up because it's almost to that full moon phase. And then when I get right here, this is the other big important one, the full moon. It's on the opposite side of the Earth. When it's nighttime and I look up to the night sky, this is what I see. And the side that I see is completely 100% lit up. I don't see any of the dark side there. So that would be the full moon. And then as you go around, it just continues where you have the waning phases, last quarter, and the waning crescent. They're the same as the first side, where crescent, quarter, and gibbous. but you're just losing light every time, and it's also the light will be on the left-hand side instead of the right-hand side. Again, if you struggle with that, don't worry so much about all the phases, but focus on that new moon and full moon. The new moon is the position between the sun and the earth. It is where, when you look at it, you're just seeing the side that faces you is facing away from the sun, so it's completely dark. Or with the full moon, when you look at it, you're looking at the side that's facing towards the sun because you're both facing the same direction, and it'll be completely lit up. Now, with eclipses happen wherever there's light, there's going to be shadows. And eclipses happen when either the moon moves into the Earth's shadow or the moon casts a shadow onto the Earth. And they happen in two different phases. Let's look at this one here first. This is where the moon gets behind the Earth, right here, and it gets into the Earth's shadow, and the moon gets darkened. And so the word eclipse means a darkening of. So this would be a lunar eclipse, is where the moon gets darkened. It moves into the Earth's shadow. And the question you always see that pops up is, what phase could this happen at? And you just have to remember my phases up here that we just went over. What phase is that where we move behind the Earth? And typically the side facing you is also facing towards the sun and completely lit up. Of course, that would typically be a full moon. So you can only have lunar eclipses when it's a full moon phase. You don't have lunar eclipses every full moon. There's other dynamics to it where sometimes it'll be above the shadow or below the shadow a little bit. But if you're going to have a lunar eclipse, it's going to be during a full moon when it's behind the Earth. The other type is called a solar eclipse, and the word solar means sun and eclipse means darkening. So it's when the sun is blocked from our view. And it would be the case when the moon gets in between the sun and the earth. Remember that starting position we always talked about, between the sun and the earth? That's our new moon position. And what happens with it is the moon's shadow falls upon the earth. And if you're standing in that shadow, you can't, your view of the sun gets blocked out and you'll have a solar eclipse. You do not see solar eclipses over the entire Earth. You have to be in that shadow. That's why back in 2017 we had the solar eclipse in the summertime. Only in certain areas could you see it. Here in Virginia Beach, we didn't see the entirety of the eclipse because we were only partially in the shadow. We were in what's called the penumbra. And so, but the main thing you need to know is which phases might you have these lunar and solar eclipses. And of course, you just got to remember the solar eclipse is when the sun is being blocked out, and that's because the moon's in the way. And the lunar eclipse would be when the moon is being darkened, and that's when the moon gets into the Earth's shadow, and that would be during the full moon phase.